Hey, good morning. How's everyone doing? Why don't you come with me? Let's go for a ride. Uh, Walking out my back door here. Got my coffee. There's my Honda CRV. And why don't you jump in with me? I want to teach you something about the fine art of foraging, hunting, and gathering for knife materials. And let's go for a ride. So there's my knife shop. It's backing out of my driveway. And we're going to head out of town. I want to give you a couple shots of what Sugarcreek looks like. I hope no one gets seasick. I tried to hold the camera steady. This is the brickyard in Sugarcreek, which employs a lot of people. This brickyard has been here, I don't know, for 100 years or something like that. You can see the big gas-fired kilns there. My dad worked here when he was a boy, and he's 86 right now. So you can see they back train cars up and load them with bricks, and there's a bunch of the product of the guys from my town. So here's our destination, Weaver Leather in Mount Hope, Ohio. So the first knives that I ever made, straight knives, the sheaths that I made for them, I needed leather, and I didn't have a lot of money at the time for knife stuff, and so I went dumpster diving in Weaver Leather's trash. And they laugh about that. They like to kid me about how my first knives, the sheaths came out of there. And several years ago, I started doing some consulting and executive coaching for them, and I now coach the CEO of Weaver Leather. His name is Chris Weaver, just a great guy. And I talked to Chris not long ago, and I said, hey, instead of diving in your dumpster, can I come by and look for some scraps? And he laughed and said, for sure. I bought a lot of leather from him too, but he told me to come on by and talk to someone there, and I got there and they helped me out. There's an Amish guy who's working there. You'll see him just a little bit in the clip, and I didn't want to film him because Amish people aren't supposed to pose for photos or video. But they let me dig around some big gaylords of their big cardboard boxes on top of pallets full of some scraps, and said, hey, take what you want. And they even boxed them up for me and stuff. So, it just never hurts to ask people for some help. It's surprising what people will do for you if you just ask and you look around your area and find a place like this where you can forage and use some, I guess, kind of urban or semi-urban hunting and gathering skills. And hunting and gathering in a lot of cultures is something that people do, and it's a way of life where they don't just go out looking for something. They're constantly looking for something that they can use, and whenever they see it, something useful, they're going through the woods, they see straight limbs that they can use for arrows, they cut them and take them with them. When they see pieces of flint that they can nap into arrowheads, they pick them up. And so that you always kind of have a supply and you're always looking around. I think that's a great skill to develop. And even though I can afford to buy knife stuff that I want or whatever, there's just something in me that really likes finding something that no one wants anymore and trying to turn it into something beautiful. So here we are at Weaver Leather. They sell wholesale basically, so this isn't really a place where you can just call up and buy leather from. So here's the inside and the Amish guy who helped me. This big box of scraps here, and first thing I got was this box full of suede. There were a lot of really big pieces. I'm not sure what exactly was supposed to be wrong with it. Then I got another box of sort of different kinds of leather, some tooling leather and some embossed leather you can see there, and chapped leather. And here's a close-up of those embossed pieces. They're about almost 4 inches wide. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them, but they're pretty cool. Okay, so here's the ride home. We're pulling into the big town of Sugarcreek, Ohio. And glad I didn't film this whole thing. I think we'd all be car sick from watching it. But this is what it looks like driving into Sugarcreek. So welcome to the little Switzerland of Ohio. You don't want to miss the Swiss Festival, Small Town Americana, and the fabulous 50s Fling. Sugarcreek isn't a very big place. There's about 3,000 people maybe who live in my village. And our village is a village officially. It's not a town. And it's the largest remaining village in Ohio. And this is the one traffic light in the front of town, and there's one more near my house. And you can see it's kind of shaky, but Troyer's Furniture. A lot of people named Troyer around here. She took her leave.
as I look the other way.
So I've needed some more tooling leather for sheaths, and so I got this big side of leather too while I was there. You can see this natural, it's got a little hole in it there and stuff, but just great leather. So in looking for knife stuff, what I've learned is that you just have to ask people. Be friendly, network with people, tell them what you're looking for, what you want, describe your hobby, and it is just surprising what people will do to help you out. I try to cultivate relationships with people, and if I tell them that I want something and they don't have it, I ask them to keep their eyes open. And I just have a bunch of people who've been so kind to me, and they save stuff for me all the time, or call me up, or come over to my house and say, hey, I got something for you. So I just want to show you a couple items that any budding knife maker might want to have that I just looked around for, talked to people, and it was able to get a hold of. And I think that you can do this too. It's just, again, a matter of finding out different places around where you live where people have maybe something that you need, and cultivating a good relationship. I found too that giving away a couple free knives once in a while to people who really help you kind of greases the skid and helps you out too. So that's your knife making tip for today. I like making my own knife making machinery, and here's a Dayton 1/3 horsepower reversible motor. You can see a buffing spindle on the end that I put on there. I found this in the trash. A fella at the local furniture store is a guy I made a knife for, and he knows that I like to look around for electric motors, so he got me this Delta 1/2 horsepower motor with a switch. It's awesome, and just gave it to me. Here's another motor with a big blower on it that I found at a garage sale and paid $2 for. It'll make a great forge blower. I stopped at a local scrapyard and talked to them about brass, and they showed me this huge sheet of brass. It's about 3 feet tall and about 2 feet wide, and it's awesome for liners. I wanted some titanium to make some frame locks, and so I stopped at a titanium place about 30 miles from where I lived, and they were super nice to me. The general manager came out, talked about knives, and sold me this piece of 6AL4V titanium for pennies. I gave a piece of this to Artist Blade 1972, and he's going to make a knife. Can't wait to see it. A friend of mine is a sawyer at a big sawmill, and he gets me these pieces of bandsaw blade. It comes from a huge bandsaw. The blade is 28 feet long, and this 6AL4V is great for knives, and I also forged Damascus out of it. He gives me as much as I want. Can't beat the price. And how about wood? Here's some Osage orange, hop hornbeam, pignut hickory, and a bunch of other stuff that I cut for free on people's land and took it to a sawyer to cut it up for me. I was walking across the street and found this piece of steel, and after hammering it into a bar and then forging it to shape kind of like this, it ended up coming out looking like this in the final filing and forging for a nice hidden tang knife, and it became this knife. And you guessed it, the sheath is made out of leather I got out of the trash. The handle for this knife is made out of curly maple, and a local pallet company looks for it and saves the pieces for me and gives them to me for free. This knife handle out of a deer's leg bone of a buck I shot with my bow, and the wrapping around the top of the handle is sinew from that deer as well, and the blade is a piece of a saw blade that I found out in the woods. I donated this knife to a local charity, and they sold it for $1,200. Not bad for something I made out of stuff no one wants. This is the last knife I'll show you. I talked to a local Harley-Davidson dealer, and their mechanics kept their eyes open for a motorcycle that needed its chain changed, and so I forged this blade out of Harley-Davidson motorcycle chain. It's a liner lock with titanium liners and ivory handles. If I can afford something, I buy the best that I can. If I can't afford it, I make it. And if I can't make it, I do without. Hope you enjoyed this video and inspires you to get out there and network, make some relationships with people, do some modern day hunting and gathering. Thanks for watching.